Hey there guys, I was just mentally preparing myself for going to work tomorrow. Quick, the title card!
Ten years ago, I made a very crappy video in one single afternoon about my top 10 PlayStation 1 games. It's the oldest video you can find on my channel.
Hey everybody, I'm DylanBandicoot and this is my top 10 PlayStation 1 games as of 2015.
This is so cringe.
Well anyway, I want a do-over. This time with the rule of only one game per franchise, because my original video had one single franchise take up 5 of the 10 games on my list. Jesus Christ. The PSOne was the very first video game system I've ever laid eyes on and played. I was only 2 years and 1 week old when my older sister got the system for her communion. Childhood memories.
It's PlayStation!
Gee, I didn't know! Thanks! Fun fact, this video made it into the official PlayStation 30th anniversary video on Twitter and Instagram. The video I sent in of me unwrapping my PS2 5 years later did not make it in, sadly enough. What are you doing here again? The PS1 has a massive library of games. So massive that there's still a crap ton of really amazing must-play games that I haven't touched yet, sadly enough. Such as Ape Escape or Brave Fencer Musashi. So forgive me if a really amazing game you love didn't make it on this list. There's just too many, and I only have so much time to play them all. What can I say, it's one of the best video game systems of all time, and maybe even my favorite. Now just an FYI, I decided to record most of the gameplay footage for this video with a CRT filter for a nice authentic sort of feeling, but only for games that very heavily rely on 3D graphics. Basically to avoid nightmare fuel like Jane over here. Doesn't she look much better with the filter on?
Have a wonderful time in the jungle.
Oh, thank you! However, games that very heavily rely on 2D sprites are recorded without the CRT filter, because I think the sprite work looks really good if you upscale those without a filter too. Like here in Yo-Yo's Puzzle Park. Anyone remember Yo-Yo's Puzzle Park? No, just me who grew up with this game? Okay.
But enough rambling from me, let's start the top 10.
On number 10, I have Klonoa Door to Phantomile. Phantomile? How do you actually pronounce that? Google, help me.
Phantomile.
Well, that settles it then. Also, according to Google Docs, Phantomile can also be pronounced as Phantomile. It's how the French say it.
Sacre bleu! This is a lie!
And Klonoa can be pronounced as Klonoa! My favorite disease! Klonoa is such a wonderful game. The CG cutscenes look magical, the 2D sprite art looks wonderful and holds up so well. As for the gameplay, well, you can pick up enemies to use them as projectiles against other enemies. Or you could use your enemies as a double jump. But it gets really freaking cool when you realize you can also interact with the foreground and the background. Yeah, you can throw enemies into other enemies or objects hidden in the foreground and background. It's a genius mechanic for a 2.5D platformer. Pandemonium is also a cool 2.5D platformer. But that game does not let the player interact with the foreign backgrounds. It's just visually cool, and that's it. Now Klonoa is sadly enough a pretty short game, but is it a powerful one? And it's surprisingly story heavy too. Now I don't have any nostalgia for this game because I played this game for the first time through the Wii remake in either 2010 or 2011, which wasn't that long ago. But man, there were multiple story moments that broke me back then, especially the ending. So next up is a game that I played for the very first time in 2021. Now, anyone who knows me really well also knows that I'm a huge fan of the Xenoblade Chronicles series from Nintendo and Monolith Soft. But the Xeno series as a whole started all the way back in 1998 on the PlayStation with Xenogears. Now this game never released where I live, but I found some workarounds in order to play this game anyway. Now Xenogears is such a cool game. The 2D sprites hold up super well, there's giant mechs called gears that you can play with, and of course the story, characters and the amazing soundtrack by Yasunori Mitsuda are just as amazing as in all of the other Xeno games. There are these moves you can learn called death blows, and they are so cool to perform. The characters all go like ya ya ha do ya hop hop shit shit pew 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 pew
Ha ho ha ha.
What the heck are you doing?
I was just what the heck was I doing?
Actually, there's one party member that does not ride a gear in this game, and that is Choo Choo. Choo Choo grows ridiculously large in size instead! Oh my god! No pun intended.
How could something so small turn into something so big?
So this game started the Xeno series tradition of every single game having at least one character getting crucified. Well, every single game except for Xenoblade X, that is. Xenoblade X, you outlier. Choo Choo and Juju hanging on the cross. C-R-U-C-I-F-I-E-D. Oh no! Looks like my party members got stuck in the void! Also, I like molesting the chickens in this game. So you might be wondering why this game is so low on my list when I'm such a diehard Xeno fan. Well, even though this game holds up well most of the time, like you straight up never have to grind in this game, it's really great in that regard. There are still these very specific moments in the game that either go on for too long, or they're tedious, or just both at the same time. And most of the dungeons just feel like mazes. Like, this is not great level design. I can never tell what the optional path is and what the mandatory story progression path is. And then there is Disc 2, which got rushed like hell and back because Squaresoft refused to give the developers more time and budget. As a result, a large chunk of Disc 2 is just the characters narrating all of the many complicated events that are happening in the story, which really takes me out of it, sadly enough.
Lying in this broken cage, I dreamed of you and me, hearing a gunshot that...
All these issues aside though, I still think this game is amazing and you should definitely play it, especially if you're familiar with Xenoblade or Xenosaga. This is the origin of it all, and you can see the similarities.
Now give me a HD 2D remake, Square Enix, instead of all this merchandise that I will buy anyway. Hey, where did my reflection go to? Does that mean that I'm... Oh no! I turned into a vampire!
Next up, I have another game that I played for the very first time pretty recently. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Man, what a badass title. I finally played this game in 2023 and man, did I regret not playing this sooner. I genuinely had no idea this game even existed until Super Smash Bros. Ultimate came out in 2018, which featured a couple of amazing remixes from Symphony of the Night. The song that grabbed my interest the most was Lost Painting. I looked up what the original sounded like and found pure magic injected straight into my ears. But seriously, why is this song called Lost Painting anyway?
Hello? Has anyone seen my mom and dad? Mom! Dad! I'm lost!
Lost Paintings aside, I absolutely adore this game. The graphics, art style, the music, it all reminds me of my childhood. It just oozes 90s era. Symphony of the Night is the very first Castlevania game in the Metroidvania genre. It's where the Vania in Metroidvania even comes from. Although, according to one of the developers, this game was not inspired by Metroid at all, but by The Legend of Zelda instead. Makes sense actually, the Zelda games that came out before the era of the Wild did indeed have Metroidvania elements. But anyway, back to the point. Symphony of the Night co-inspired and helped lay the groundwork for a whole genre. In this game, you don't play as a vampire hunter like in most Castlevania games, but instead you play as Alucard, the son of Count Dracula. Alucard just wants humans to live in peace because he's friends with them and because his mother was a human. So he's gonna do everything in his power to stop the revival of his father once and for all. Oh, Alucard, you silly Billy. Dracula will always return as long as they keep making more Castlevania games. Alucard is so freaking cool though. He can transform into a wolf, a bat, and he can even transform into mist. Yeah, mist or fog or whatever. Woohoo. Well, anyway, can you believe this amazing voice acting?
You seem human, and yet, what do you here?
I've come to destroy this castle.
Then we have the same purpose. I'll trust you for now. I'm Maria. Who are you?
Alucard.
And can you believe that people prefer this original voice acting over the remastered voice acting from the PSP and PS4 versions because of nostalgia? At first I was like, okay, I get it. But now that I finally heard the OG voice acting, I'm like, seriously? Not even nostalgia could make me prefer the OG voices over the amazing new ones.
Oh, I still can't believe I'm a vampire now. Hey there, Dylan, what's up? My reflection! You're back! Where were you? I thought it was a vampire! I was just on vacation. Cowabunga, dude!
Now it's time for the very first game on this list that I'm actually nostalgic for. Actually, that's the case for every game coming up on this list. Croc Legend of the Gobos. Man, I always have a big smile on my face whenever I play this game. I just can't help it. So I'm just gonna be completely honest here. The tank controls in this game are awful. Abysmal even. I've always hated them ever since I was a little toddler. So why do I love this game so much? Why do I keep going back? It's the charm. This game is so freaking charming, I can't help it. The cute characters, the music, the environments, the music. The biggest reason I liked playing this game as a kid, even though I hated the controls, was for the soundtrack. Every single time I booted up the game back then, because I wanted to listen to the soundtrack. Try to frown while listening to this music, I bet you can't. God, and the cutscenes are so great too. It's like watching a cartoon. I absolutely love the show don't tell presentation of these. I especially have always been a big fan of the cutscenes that explain the origins of each boss fight, plus the cutscenes where they return back to normal after the fight. It's so charming. Also, if you get hit, you lose all your gems and you can pick them back up just like in Sonic the Hedgehog, which is kinda funny. I remember playing a Sonic game for the first time and thinking to myself, hey, this is just like Croc. There is a remaster of Croc now, thankfully, and this remaster offers a toggle between tank and modern controls, meaning that this bullshitty minigame will no longer be impossible to beat. No, seriously, how am I supposed to do this with tank controls? And even though I would normally play this remaster on day one, I pre-ordered the physical collector's edition from Rocket Games. This edition is very expensive, and because Rocket Games is located in the US of A and I'm from Belgium, that means I have to pay very expensive import taxes that will almost double the price. So yeah, I'm not spending any extra money on the digital version just so I can play the game early. I'm patiently going to wait for my physical copy and goodies. Thank you very much. Also, this collector's edition was supposed to release in spring, then got delayed to summer, and now it's fall and it still hasn't come out yet. What are we even doing here, guys? And now it's time for the very first licensed game on this list. That's right, these are here too. It wouldn't be a list of my favorite childhood PSOne games without them after all. Featuring my favorite Final Fantasy character, Donald Duck. Donald Duck Quack Attack, also known as Going Crackers in the country of Little Orange Man. Now, this game doesn't really do anything revolutionary, And you know what? It doesn't have to. Going Crackers is just a solid linear 3D platformer that is also a 2D platformer half of the time. I love it! It's everything 5-year-old me wanted out of a PS1 game. The CG cutscene at the beginning of the game is funny, but also kind of creepy.
There's Murloc. He's working on a very strange machine.
Who's there? You'll never get out of here.
Let me go! Let me go!
Oh my god!
There is a nice and cozy warp room, each world has an optional chase level you can unlock, a boss fight, time trials.
Wait a minute, that kinda sounds familiar. Oh! It's just like Super Mario Galaxy 2!
I like jumping on the piano, it makes funny piano noises. Speaking of music, you guessed it, I love this soundtrack too! My favorite song? The Haunted Mansion, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for our special guest, Smooth McGroove. I also love how expressive Donald is in this game. It actually feels like you're playing a cartoon. If Donald gets hit once, his expression will become angry. But if he drinks a milkshake at full health, he gets all excited. Just look at him dancing. And his invincibility frames when he gets hit is a puff of cartoony fight smoke, or whatever you call that stuff. That's genius! It basically tells you when your invincibility frames are active. Wait, when I was recording footage for this video, I noticed for the very first time that these books have evil looking eyes.
My whole life was a lie!
Now there is an N64 version of this game, and this game has a drastically different presentation than the PS1 game for some reason. Resolution options in an N64 game? I thought that was a modern PC gaming only thing. There are times when the presentation looks better, but most of the time I think it's worse. It's really weird. Like, I can't tell whether I feel this way because I'm biased towards the PS1 version or not. Because at the end of the day, the N64 version is still a solid version of this game regardless. I would still recommend it. There are different enemies, different sound effects. But what's up with the drastically different soundtrack? The PS1 version is all like... And on the N64 version, it's like... And meanwhile, the warp room music in the N64 version sounds like it came from Silent Hill or something.
Hello? Is anybody there?
Hello, Harry.
Have you ever had a dream?
Actually, I know nothing about the Silent Hill games, so I could be completely wrong about the warp room music sounding like it. Hereby, I'd like to formally apologize to the internet for my assuming behavior. Assuming is a word, right? No? Well, whatever. And I promise to do better next time.
Wishing you love, happiness, and good health. Happy New Year. Ooh! $5!
Also, there's a really terrible PS2 version of this game with quick time events. Stay away from the PS2 version!
Ah, Jesus Christ!
All 3 3 games in the Spyro the Dragon trilogy are great, especially 2 and 3. Heck, I even dare say that 2 and 3 are equally as good. But eventually I decided to put Spyro 2 Gateway to Ripto's Raging Hole, his Glimmery Gate, Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage, aka Gateway to Glimmer for us here in Europe. Now, 80% of my childhood PS1 game collection was sadly enough a bunch of pirated copies, and that included Spyro 2. Spyro 2 was the only Spyro game I owned back then, and my pirated copy had something interesting going on with it. You see, I was able to roam around the first level Glimmer as well as the first hub world Summer Forest just fine. But as soon as I entered a level that wasn't Glimmer, after that level's intro cutscene, the game would freeze during a black loading screen every single time. Basically meaning that my copy of the game was kinda like an unofficial demo for me. And as a result, Glimmer and Summer Forest are the only levels in the game that I'm nostalgic for. Looking back on it now, the game freezing was probably an anti-piracy measure or something. A very clever one no less, turning the game into a demo that gives you the itch to buy the actual legal product anyway. Smart move, Insomniac. I finally had the chance to buy and play legal, albeit digital, copies of the full Spyro trilogy in late 2012 on the PSN store on my PS3. So I was finally able to find out what lies beyond Glimmer and Summer Forest an entire decade later. And as such, I have no nostalgia for the rest of this game. But yeah, that long ass story is the reason I slightly prefer Spyro 2 over Spyro 3 if someone were to put a gun to my head and forced me to choose between the two.
Which game do you prefer? Spyro 2 or Spyro 3? Spyro 2! Spyro 2! Yeah, Spyro 2!
So I've already wasted a lot of time telling my anti-piracy story, so I'm gonna keep the rest quick. Spyro 2 is an amazing 3D collectathon, and this game set the foundation of the rest of the series. Featuring colorful characters such as Laura, the Professor, Zoe, and Chester Cheetah!
Hey! You got a problem with that pussy?
Spyro! Language!
X, you're gay.
Fun fact, when I was little, I liked to imitate Spyro's charging ability, and one time I rammed my head at my sister's back. Let's do it again! On my 5th birthday, I got the best birthday present ever. A PS1 game. But not just any PS1 game. It was Monsters Inc. Scare Island, also known as Scream Team in the US of Arnold. Look at how happy I was.
I'm still happy with the game now.
Man, I love Monsters Inc. It was one of my favorite movies of all time when I was a toddler, and it still is one of my favorites today. Top 5 for sure. Just look at this beautiful blue VHS tape I have of this movie. They don't make physical media like this anymore. I miss the era of my life where everything was colorful. Scare Island is a prequel to the movie where Mike and Sully learn at the Scare Academy how to scare children. And how do they learn that exactly? Well, by playing a collectathon, I guess. Yeah, this is another collectathon, with the main collectible being robot children that you have to scare like this.
Booga 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 booga! Ow!
Other than this funny feature, the game doesn't really do anything revolutionary or innovating. But look, this was one of my very first 3D collectathons. It was the very first time I was given a video game as a birthday present. And it was based on one of my favorite movies of all time. So yeah, of course this game made it on my list. I'm biased as hell for this game, and the nostalgia is massive. I don't need any more reason to include a game on this list other than all of that. Just like with Donald Duck, there is an awful PS2 version that you should stay away from. Why is it awful, you might ask? Well, first of all, the graphics are hideous in this version. But the biggest reason why this version sucks compared to the PS1 version is the various bugs that can crash your game, making the game very difficult to play. Also, the mailboxes are blue instead of red now, but I love the color blue, so I kinda like that change.
I actually bought the PS2 version at the thrift store a couple of years ago for only $1.99. Why did I do that? I don't even want to play this version anyway.
Now let me introduce you to what is probably not only the most underrated PS1 game of all time, but also the most underrated game of all time, period. Why do I think that? Well, because nobody ever talks about this game, which is a shame because this is, in my opinion, one of the best PS1 games of all time and an absolute must-play. Kingsley's Adventure. Kingsley's Adventure is a game set in medieval times starring the young fox cub Kingsley, whose dream it is to become a knight of the Fruit Kingdom. In order to become a knight of the Fruit Kingdom, Kingsley has to collect the legendary knight items while saving the kingdom from the evil wizard Bad Custard. Are we sure this Bad Custard is an evil wizard and not a chef or something? He looks like a chef, no? Well, anyway, I adore this game. The graphics, the colorful world and characters, the combat, the dungeons, and of course the phenomenal soundtrack composed by Alistair Lindsay, who is not a woman by the way, he's just a man with a very misleading last name. If you hadn't noticed it already, this game is a Legend of Zelda clone, and I absolutely love that. This game is probably the reason why I became a die-hard Zelda fan. As a kid, I wanted more Kingsley games, but those didn't exist. I discovered the Zelda franchise, which has similar gameplay that is even more refined than Kingsley's. Boom! I'm a Zelda fan now. I love the dungeons in Kingsley so much, especially the second dungeon, Snuff's Cave. Not only is this the best dungeon in the game level design wise, but this dungeon coincidentally also has my favorite song in the entire game. Seriously, this soundtrack goes so hard, and the dungeons scratch an itch for me that not even the dungeons in the open world Zeldas have been able to scratch for me. Whenever I think of medieval times, Kingsley's Adventure always shows up inside my head first, you know? The whole aesthetic of this game, the soundtrack, it just has that medieval vibe. Although there are some techno music tracks in this game too at some point, which is kinda weird but also kinda cool. Now granted, this game does have some issues. There's tank controls, and the game definitely feels a bit rushed at times. For example, there are no side quests in this game at all, and I feel like the game could do with some. But also, there are 5 boss fights in this game without a dungeon, including the final boss fight. Sure, 4 of these fights do have one small room with one small puzzle before the fight starts, but that's it really. As for why I want more side quests, well, it's because of how charming the world and its characters are. It would really flesh things out. Like, what the heck even are some of these interactions? Mummy Smith. Baby Smith's been stealing things again. No dinner for him tonight. Baby Smith. Hello sir, are you dining alone tonight? I've been waiting for my girlfriend for 3 days now. Wow, she must be special. She is. She's got great hooves. This dude is desperate. Well, hello there, good looking. I'll bet what you need after a hard day's work is a warm drink that smells of fish. Take a seat. Let Daisy tend to your every need. Kingsley is a child. FBI, open up! And check this out. There's an entire town in this game suffering from alcohol poisoning, and the mayor's name is Sober Sid. But guess what? Sober Sid has a hangover. Have I said how much I love this game yet? Now, I've been gushing about this game for long enough now, but before we move on to number 2, I have 2 anecdotes I quickly want to share with you. On my childhood copy of this game, there is a magic marker on my disc that says Video 21, which was my local video rental store, my version of Blockbuster basically as a young child. And for my last anecdote, a couple of years ago I recommended Kingsley's Adventure to someone on Twitter. I got a decent amount of likes on my reply, but almost every single like came from accounts with furry profile pictures, and I just think that's hilarious. Nothing against furries or anything, but you've gotta admit that was funny and very unexpected. At least for me it was unexpected. can we get a remake or a sequel to Kingsley's Adventure now, please? Or at least give me the rights so I can commission an indie developer or something to do it for me. Hey look, it's my older sister with another present.
Bye, bitch!
What a surprise! The very first game I've ever played is on this list as well. What do you know? What else can I say about 102 Dalmatians Puppies to the Rescue other than the fact that this game is amazing? It really is. This game is basically a Spyro the Dragon clone. The overall level structure is similar. For example, every level has puppies you need to save, just like the Dragon Eggs in Spyro 3. Instead of the flame breath, you can bark. Instead of the charge, you can roll. Dogs can't glide though.
Or can you? Fly! Uh-oh.
But one thing that Spyro can't do that the Dalmatians can is sniff around for collectibles that you might have missed, and even dig up collectibles, which is such a cool and unique feature. The funny thing is though, that this game was developed by Tours for Bob, who later on went to develop the Spyro Reignited trilogy, so that's kinda funny. Hey look, I paused the game. That's adorable. I love how you can switch between Domino and Oddball whenever you want in the game, and they even have unique dialogue and cutscenes depending on who you're playing as. Just make sure not to make yourself dizzy by spamming the select button over and over again, especially not while jumping on a trampoline.
Ugh, I think I'm gonna be sick.
Like I do with most games, I just have to praise the soundtrack yet again. It's so wonderful. It kinda reminds me of Banjo-Kazooie soundtracks. Or rather, the Banjo-Kazooie soundtracks remind me of 102 Dalmatians because I played this game an entire decade before I played Banjo. Speaking of Banjo-Kazooie, you have to collect all 100 bones in a level before exiting the level, just like the notes in Banjo. There's also a decent amount of minigames that I spent way too much time with as a kid as well. Most of them have multiplayer too. Anyone up for 8-player minigolf? I don't have much else to say about this game that I haven't said already in my video that I made 4 years ago, other than, once again, mentioning how much I love the colorful levels filled with lots of fun IDs and cute NPCs such as Manny the Mole, Crystal the Snow Bunny, Fidget, Manny the Mole, Chester. Have I mentioned Manny the Mole yet? I like rolling into them. Take that, you filthy animals!
Alright, the moment you've all been waiting for. My favorite PS1 game of all time is... Welcome to Relationship Advice with Dylan. That's me! Very totally not interrupt whatever it was you were watching right now. I got a question from user Teeny Tiny Weenie. He asks, Dylan, how can I get my girlfriend in the mood? Well, Teeny Tiny Weenie, 2 words for you. Joy and calm. It vibrates. Crash Bandicoot Warped!
Crash Bandicoot Warped!
Gee, what a surprise! The YouTuber that calls himself DylanBandicoot has a Crash Bandicoot game on number 1 of his list. I can't believe it! Out of all the PS1 games that I played as a kid, this is the one that I've spent the most time with. Which makes a lot of sense in retrospect. This game is easy, it has a lot of variety thanks to the vehicle levels and the time travel theming, bringing us to lots of different and colorful locations too. Such as World War I and World War II. Move aside, Mario. While you were causing a disastrous event, Crash was over here fighting the Nazis in World War II. Crash is a hero to us all. This game was also the introduction to time trials in the Crash franchise, and man, do these add a lot of replayability. Combine that with the amazing soundtrack by Josh Mansell, as well as the huge amount of hilarious death animations that make dying fun instead of frustrating, and you have a recipe for one of the best platformers ever made. I'm gonna be completely honest here, I don't have much else to say about this game that I haven't said already in my top 10 Crash Bandicoot games video. So maybe you can watch that video later after you're done watching this one. Crash Bandicoot Warped is just a game that means a lot to me and my childhood, and I'd even argue that it defined the PS1 era for a lot of people. I've spent hours upon hours across the span of many long years looking for secrets, speedrunning levels, or even just wandering around the warp room. Everyone has had at least one game where they do all of this stuff during their childhood, right?
So yeah, those are my top 10 PS1 games. I'd like to end this video by showing off our very first PS1 controller.
It looks a little worn down, sure. It has been in this sorry state since 2006, I'm pretty sure. But guess what? The controller still works perfectly fine if I plug it in. No issues at all. It works better than my PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5 and Nintendo Switch controllers. I guess everything was just built better back then, you know?
Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to click the subscribe button on the right side of the video. And if you'd like, you can also leave a 5-star rating down below. It would help the channel out a lot.
Halt! You forgot something very important.
Moses, Prince of Egypt for the PS1? What are you doing here?
You forgot to add me to your top 10 list.
No, I didn't. You suck.
You will regret those words. After I gather my power in cyberspace, I will come back to take my revenge.
Good luck with that.
I'll be back!
Well, that was weird. Oh well.